Okay. Nice. So is there anything specific you want to work on today? Anything that you think is more urgent, it's bothering you when you play matches? Anything about, I don't know, anything, technique, different technique, or some strategy, or some situation in the match you feel like you need to improve?
I have a pretty bad tendency, I think, to I have a hard time, I guess, forehand counter looping in game. I end up
Right,
always just kind of blocking because I don't have the
right,
time, or maybe I don't get in position. I'm just so used to blocking every ball. So
right,
sometimes that's good, but a lot of times it just lets them keep attacking me. And so
right,
I'm just not as comfortable, like, if they give me this big forehand, to loop it back, even
right.
though I can do it with the ball machine.
Okay. The in general, counter looping, well, it's not an easy shot, right? Uh, it's not. It doesn't. It That doesn't mean it's super risky, but it's not an easy shot to do because it depends on how fast you can react to prepare this counter loop. Let's say if I give you something like some long backspin shots to your forehand and you're attacking this, my first option would be always blocking, right? But if I see, so I'm ready to block, my hand is in front of the body here, everything is set for blocking, and but if I see that your attack maybe it's not spinny enough, maybe it's too high, maybe it's too short on my table, so it's not that good quality I was expecting. Because every time you push long for someone, for example, or some side spin, long side spin, whatever is long, you have to expect the worst case scenario, which is a good quality attack.
Mm-hmm.
So you're always ready to block. Then from this position, maybe your legs are parallel to the table, um, because you don't know where the attack comes. So if your right leg is behind you, you're gonna have problems moving to your backhand side, right? If your opponent ever attacks on your backhand, so probably you're facing the table here, maybe more to your one side or to the other. It depends on the situation, but you are facing the table, legs parallel, and your arm is in front of you because you're gonna block with backhand or forehand in front of you. You're not gonna let the ball. You're not gonna expect something with the hand, like with the arm behind your body, for example, or too much sideways. You need to react fast in front of you. So this is the block position.
Okay.
From there, you have some situations where you can try to attack. Maybe my attack is not good enough. It's too slow. It's too spinny. It's not spinny enough, or too high, something like that. Then from this situation, you have uh, maybe that, because if you think a counter loop, especially if you're close to the table, there's two counter loops, right? Close to the table, and when you are already exchanging shots for some reason, and you kind of a counter loop, but it's kind of a loop against loop, right? It's not you're not breaking the you're not breaking the pace. You're not necessarily increasing the pace because your opponent probably is already looping and you're away from the table. You're both like exchanging loops. So this is a different situation. Let's talk first about this loop close to the table.
Mm-hmm.
So the ball is coming. You realize that you have time to speed up, and blocking would be okay to block, but you have time to do more than a block. Okay, your opponent is putting a lot of energy into the shot. So the ball has a lot of energy. You can use this energy and just move forwards towards the ball, not necessarily twisting your body here, turning your body, rotating your body to add even more power. Maybe you can use your opponent's power to just move forwards, closing the
Mm-hmm.
angle and try to catch this ball earlier, spinning on top of the ball, but not necessarily spending a lot of energy because your opponent is already using
giving
the
the
energy, his energy, right? So the ball is full of energy. You don't need to, but you need to take this in an angle that you can speed up things and send your opponent backwards, maybe finishing the point with this counter loop. This is one situation. The other situation might be if you were expecting a loop, but you have enough time to rotate and then just go full swing, kind of to break your opponent energy with yours. Let's see, it's like, let's see, if we were fighting, I'm gonna punch you in the face at the same time you're punching me in the face, but I'm sure that mine is gonna land first or land with more power. So instead of both of us getting knocked out at the same time, which happens rarely, but that can happen in a fight, mine is gonna be more powerful. So I'm kind of breaking your power with mine. I'm using my power to overcome yours, let's say. Okay, to overpower you, right? But then you have to you have to decide that from a blocking position. That's the first thing, because you're expecting already a loop coming from this situation. So I'm gonna show you some stuff. I'm gonna be out here. I want you to block the first one. I'm gonna just do like this. I want you to block, yes. And the same way, ready to block, you're gonna try to anticipate this, taking earlier with the more closed angle. But because your legs are parallel, you need to send your left leg forwards to hit the ball. If you move your right leg, it's gonna be kind of out of balance.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't feel right rotating your body with your right leg forward. So you kind of jump towards the ball with your left leg, head low. You just have to adjust the angle. It's going to be closed more than in a block situation. And try to use your wrist to generate your own spin on top of the ball. Okay, so again, block the first one. Good, and now go for it. I want you to jump on the second one. Yeah, go for it. Yes, that's it. So you have to anticipate. Go. Good, go. Nice. Good. Nice. Close the angle more. Oops, sorry.
Yep.
Oops, sorry. Go. Good. This is the kind of a block, which is a kind of a counter loop, which is almost like a block, because you don't have to turn and you still take the ball in front of the body, right? It does make it faster. It speed up the pace of the ball, right? So your opponent, if this is something like if you're just blocking, your opponent has time to loop and then prepare the second loop and kind of at the same rhythm. But if you decide to kind of a counter loop like this, your opponent has way less time to react. And in general, your opponent, of course, he can, if he's good enough, he can counter loop again, but it's much harder. In general, after counter looping like this, your opponent's gonna just kind of give you something easy, and then you have time to even step backwards, feel comfortable, and just play like a full swing next shot. But now the same counter loop. Sorry.
Is this type of counter loop something I should wait for an easier loop, or is this the kind of counter loop I could probably try and get off anytime?
Physically, it's possible to do it anytime, but if you're waiting for a block and your opponent is looping well, in general, you just don't have time. It would be maybe too risky, maybe even unnecessary, unless you're blocking and your opponent is crushing you point after point because
Mhm.
your block is maybe too easy for him or he's too fast, so he can keep looping, and then maybe you
Yeah,
even
that
block the
happens a
first
lot.
one. Yeah, you block the first one, but after that, it's just your opponent is just too good. Then you have to take more risks. You have to speed up things. So you can think about this kind of a counter loop as a more active way to block.
Okay.
Still thinking about blocking position and going forward from where you are, just moving your left leg towards the ball and moving your body towards the ball to anticipate and take it earlier, right? But then, let's say your opponent is looping in a way that you feel that you have more time to move. Maybe you are slightly away from the table, or maybe you send your opponent a very heavy shot, backspin shot. So your opponent is looping slower. Then you can wait for the shot to come towards you, towards the side of your body, rotating, and then going full swing forward. This is also an option,
Okay.
right? So I'm doing this, and now I want you to, instead of taking the ball, stepping forward to take the ball in front of you and anticipating, take your time, let the ball come close to your body, and then go full swing. Now you have time to rotate a bit, bring your arm to the side, not in front of you anymore, and then you close the angle and go for it.
Okay.
Right there. Yes, good. Nice. Close the angle. Oops, sorry. Go. Nice. Good. Close the angle. And rotate your body. Use a full swing. Wait for the ball and use a full swing. Yes. Wait for the trajectory. Even you can even let the ball drop a little bit if you have time for it. Drop and still go forwards. Don't open the angle. Keep your body low. Good. Good. Nice. Beautiful. Even if the ball is low, you can do the same. So wait and go full power forwards. Yes. You're still using my top spin, right? So you can close the angle and go forward. Don't be afraid of the net because you're using your full swing. Just go full arm motion. Yeah, that's it. Good. Go. Yes, perfect. And good. So technically, it's not really hard. You just have to really close the angle. And if you have time, you can rotate and use more like a full swing forward. If you don't have time, you want to anticipate and play shorter. You just move forward with a shorter motion, but still with the angle very closed and always forward. Trying to brush all the time to kind of generate or impose your spin over your opponent's top spin, right? So don't hit flat, otherwise you lose control. You need to keep spinning the ball. If the ball is already spinning, you have to keep the spin on, but hard enough, accurate enough to control the trajectory, right?
Okay.
What's the hardest part in counter looping? Timing. You need the ball in the right spot. If you try to counter loop too much away from your body, it's going to be much harder, or too close to your body where you have to move and try to hit the ball, also very hard. So you need to anticipate the spot where the ball is going to land, and this is not easy. So that's why it's not all the time, but we cannot like counter loop all the time. It's very people players who can counter loop all the time. In general, they are physically really fast and they have really good reflexes. They can react really fast and adjust really fast, right? Because it's all about timing. Technically, it's not very hard. But
Okay.
sometimes you play with some players, they are not very powerful. For example, in the opening attack. So you every time you play some long backspin shots, they kind of attack too slow, or they are not really aggressive on the first one, but they are really good in the continuation. So if you block, they kind of after the opening attack, they kind of play fast enough and with more aggressiveness. So
So I want to
in,
ask to
yes,
reiterate what you said at the very beginning, because you were showing me how to do the loop. But in general, it's not a bad thing to just have blocking be your go-to, because it's not always easy to counter loop, and with blocking you can use their power against them, and you can also kind of, if you don't know where the ball is going to go, you can more easily do this. Is that all
yeah,
right? And then if I have the
yeah,
opportunity, I can do what we've
yeah,
been talking about.
yeah. Yeah, let's say it's, yeah, opportunity is the right word actually, because you're not expecting, you're not, I mean, unless your opponent is really weak in some shots, then you kind of set up for a counter loop. But if this is not the case, you're always expecting to block. And if you do have time, if you do have the opportunity, then you move forward, or you wait and wait for the ball to come close to you and then go for more of a full swing.
Okay.
It's kind of like an opportunism more than forcing too much or anticipating too much a counter loop. Because if let's say you're giving your opponent a chance to attack with a backspin shot, for example, right? He can attack all over the table,
Yep.
right? And of course, if the attack is slow enough, or if you are fast enough to anticipate the spot, then you can try to counterattack, right? But otherwise, blocking is always the first option, unless your opponent is maybe too good in the continuation and you have to take more risks because it's really not working only blocking. Then it's another thing. But in a normal, let's say, situation with a level, the skill of you both is kind of a similar, then blocking should be okay unless your opponent is not strong enough, the shot's not strong enough, and then you have time enough to attack. So what we can do here, for example, is I'm gonna set the ball machine, and I'm gonna show you those two different shots. Mm, okay. Here. This is a loop with 100 spin, right? I'm gonna just take the spread off of it. Let's keep it exactly at the same spot so that makes it easy for you to anticipate. Okay, just block a few, just to feel like the amount of spin. See, 100 spin is not a crazy spin. The ball is kind of a fast, but it's not crazy spin, right? If it's going down, it's because you have to open the angle. That's a perfect angle. Great. All right. From these shots, you can maybe anticipate now and try to go for that wrist thing, moving forward with your left leg. Good. Close the angle and go. So yeah, I would block one or two and then go for the counter loop. Go. That's it. Just close the angle more. And don't play upwards. You're using your opponent's spin. It's fully forward.
Okay.
It's almost like if you want to hit the net. But because you're spinning with your wrist on top of the ball, it's going to have enough. Your wrist is going to give you enough arc to get over the net. Good. You see, even just accelerating the wrist on top of the ball it's not even a full swing. You're just kind of anticipating and make it faster. The ball machine is spinning at 100, and just your wrist brings the ball to 120. Sometimes even higher than that, and much faster. The trajectory, everything is faster, is deeper than a normal block.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that changes a lot already, right? For your opponent, especially. Then you can do those two things. So you can kind of three things, let's say, right? Blocking, moving forwards to kind of anticipate and play like faster, moving forwards like this, like you were doing, or letting the ball come and like a full swing backwards. So blocking, let the ball come, wait a little bit longer, and full swing forwards.
Okay.
Okay. For this, you see, like it's way more powerful because you're using your full body.
Yeah, yeah.
Still, it's not because you're away from the table that you need to lift the ball up. The ball is coming with a good amount of topspin, and you have time to swing very powerfully on top of the ball using your wrist, your arm, your full body. So just move forwards. Don't go upwards. It's not necessary. Yeah, full power. Good. Go more wrist to generate more spin. That's perfect. You see that was 140 spin. Good. It's beautiful. And this power comes from your hips. Yes, this power comes from your hips, rotation, the ribs, and the arm, the full body. But it's all about the acceleration comes from your hips, from your legs and hips. So when you decide to give the ball a little bit more time and say, okay, I'm going to counter loop this no matter what, because you're stepping backwards. So you're now, this is the difference. If you're blocking and then you say, okay, now I have a chance, jump forward to accelerate. It's a counter loop, it's a counter attack, but it's kind of like a blocking.
Yep.
In an opportunism, like, like you just like, okay, maybe I have time to accelerate more. But if you do block or whatever you do, and then you step back, you bring your right leg backwards, you're already anticipating the swing, like you're already bringing your arm to the side. The message is, I'm going to counter loop no matter what, right? And then you go full swing forward. And you need to bring this power to break, to overpower your opponent's loops. So it's two different situations, right? It's two different ideas, actually. Blocking. Oh, wait a minute, I have time. Jumping forwards. Or maybe blocking. I'm going to counter loop no matter what next ball. And then you just like show your opponent, okay, come, give me your best shot because I'm going to counter loop it anyway. This kind of idea, right? So those two are valid. Try a little bit of both. Maybe blocking one or two, and then moving forward, right? One or two, just to feel the angle, and then maybe blocking, stepping backwards, and full swing. Blocking, stepping backwards, full swing. Just to see how it goes. Nice. The timing should be completely different. One of them, you are kind of trying to take off the bounce and move forwards. The other one, you are moving backwards, buying yourself more time, and using your full body swing, hips, legs. Good. Nice. Look at the spin there. At this last one. 143. That's super, super good. Right? And the previous one close to the table, you used the wrist so good. The timing and the angle is so perfect. It was 131.
Nice. Cool.
Which is amazing. Which is also amazing for only a wrist thing. So that means when you're counter looping, you can overpower your opponent, but remember that you're also using his energy, his power to kind of control the arc. So it's always very close angle.
Yeah.
And moving, of course, if you're more backwards here, maybe you can go forward, but with some more arc on your arm, maybe. But sometimes you can just go straight forward. If your wrist is good enough to brush on top of the ball, you don't even need to bother like generating more arc if your opponent is looping well. But now I'm gonna bring you a different situation where let me find here, your opponent, let's say your opponent is serving short. Let me keep this serve only in the middle of the table like this, right? Very heavy backspin serve. And then your opponent is immediately after, so you're gonna push long to his forehand, right? Backhand or forehand push, it doesn't matter, it's up to you. And then your opponent is looping. Now let me just let me put 110, 115 is gonna give you enough time. Let me just check the timing. So you're gonna push long and your opponent is looping. Yeah, but this loop we want only on the forehand side. Where is it? Yeah. Okay, here. All right. So this loop your opponent is doing with 110 spin. Is not as fast as the other one, and is not as deep, so it's gonna land close to the center of the table, the middle of the table. Then you have time to maybe anticipate and take it earlier. If you step back because you played an underspin, the ball tends to drop faster. Right? So don't step back too much, don't wait too much. So you can try on both situations and see how good it is, and also trying to block, because it's going to be harder to block as well. You have to close the angle more, right? So try this a little bit. So push long to the forehand and then block, and also counter attack. Now there's more spin, and the spin is short. So you have to close the angle even more and play even more forward. Try to block, like try to counter loop towards the kind of at the middle of the net, you know, like going almost like trying to hit your side of the table when you hit it, because there's a lot of spin. See how it goes. That's perfect. Close more and be more aggressive. If you have time, just use your wrist with more speed. Remember, you kind of have to overpower your opponent's spin all the time. Spin and speed. So if you can go faster, that's perfect. Good. Try to be more aggressive with your wrist, more speed. Good. Nice. Good. Good. One more. Perfect. Okay.
It's hard.
Okay. But then, what gives you the opportunity or create this opportunity to anticipate and decide, okay, enough blocking, I'm going for counter loop, is what you do on the previous shot, right? For example, if your opponent is serving backspin like the ball machine was doing, and your backspin shot is maybe not spinny enough, not heavy enough, not fast and deep enough, maybe not low enough, your opponent will attack with more speed than spin. That gives you less time to adjust, less time to think, less time to decide, and you end up only trying to survive and touching the ball and blocking, right? So it's very important doing things that forces your opponent to play in a way that is possible to counterattack, right? I'm gonna show you something. Let me move back to the other side. I want you to give me some backspin serve, like short backspin serve. I want to push long to your forehand, and I want you to attack cross court. Okay? Yeah. So you just serve backspin short. Yeah. That's it. And then you attack. Okay. Let's do this a few times. Good. Okay. Right. Do that again. I'm gonna give you a different push. This is too easy. You're gonna attack too fast. It's gonna be almost impossible. It's kind of even silly for me to decide to counter loop after playing something like too easy to light, where you have time to play forward too much, right?
Yep.
Now again, the same serve. That's a heavy one, long and heavy one. I'm forcing you to play upwards and slower. It's possible for you to play fast and forward, but it's very risky. It's not really easy to do. So I'm forcing you to play upwards. Go again. Let's do it.
Oops.
Then I have time to try some counter loops, because I know you're gonna have to lift up the ball at least a bit more.
Yeah.
And if you're late for the shot, maybe if the position is a bit uncomfortable, any other reason, your loop will be even shorter on my table, or maybe even higher. That gives me extra time to move forward and counter loop, right? Do the same serve. Yes. What I'm doing now is adding to the backspin, keeping the backspin long and deep as fast as I can, but adding some right side spin. Then, if you want to attack hard, I'm kind of forcing you to do it cross court, right? You can open the angle and play slower to the other side. That spin, that's a possibility. But I'm sending the message like, if you want to attack hard, you have to follow my spin. I'm pushing the ball. I'm generating spin on the right side of the ball. That means the ball is curving slightly away from you. And if you want to really play hard, would be very difficult for you, much more difficult to play down the line than cross court. And because the ball is fast and deep, I'm also expecting you, I'm ready to block, but I'm also expecting you to send me something easy that if you do, I have enough time to play forward. Do that again, the serve again. See, I just want to make your life harder. Just to make sure you're not gonna send me something with a lot of speed and not all over the table. Now I'm kind of trying to limiting your table to play cross court if you wanna play hard. Go. Oops. It's a very heavy shot. You see, like you have to lift this ball. And then I have time to go, and I have some extra time because playing something like this instead of straight gives you even less opportunity, less angle to play to the other side. So I'm already expecting something slow and short because it's heavy, but also slow, short, and cross court because my spin is kind of forcing the ball to come to my forehand side. So, like it's how you prepare your counter loop is more. Sometimes is more important than the technique itself.
Okay.
Because only playing too gentle and say, okay, I'm going to counter loop no matter what. It's some players can do because they're really fast, but it's not the smartest way of setting some counter loops, right? So what we're gonna do now? Change the camera here to record. This is gonna be nicer. I think this way. Yeah. Yeah, maybe this way is gonna be nicer. Okay. I'm gonna serve kind of a short there. You play long to my forehand. I'm gonna lift this ball, and then you have to decide if you have time and good position to block, if you're gonna counter loop like close to the table, if you're gonna buy yourself time, step back and attack. You know that I'm gonna opening my attack cross court on your forehand side. So then you can always prepare. And
if
according to
I want to help force it to my forehand, I would do this right side spin.
Yeah, probably right side spin, or maybe straight under the ball, but as deep, as long, and fast as possible. Because imagine, like, your opponent's supposed to be serving and expecting you to play everywhere. If the ball is faster, then he has less time to react, and then the loop is not going to be that strong, so you have more time, right? But you also have to read the spin, because if I'm too late, sometimes I'm not going to generate that much topspin, and then you can maybe wait and use a full swing because the ball has less energy. But if I manage to brush properly, maybe you can jump forward. And if you think this is too weird, too hard for some reason, block, and that's okay. But you have to take this decision when you see the ball leaving my paddle here. As soon as you see me hitting the ball, you have to think, okay, you're prepared to block, but if you do have time, close the table, close to the table or away from the table. You have to close the angle and try to counter. Let's go.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. Good. Good. Ah, perfect. Perfect. Nice. Close the angle even more. Oops, sorry. Oops, sorry. Nice. Yeah, never upwards, right? If your chest is too open when you move towards the ball, the tendency is moving upwards. So keep your chest kind of in, your shoulders forward, head low, and then you can only go forward. And it would help you blocking anyway, right? Because if you're kind of in the same situation with your shoulders forward, head down, blocking is even easier because your head is close to the ball. It's easier to find an angle. So as soon as you give your opponent a long shot to attack, you see your opponent kind of preparing to swing, you have to lean forward and wait with the racket close to in front of you. Nice. Leaning forward, yes. Good. Nice one. Good. Nice. Oops. Beautiful. Nice one. Good. Nice. So, in a real match, of course, your opponent has the whole table. He's not going to tell you, okay, I'm going to attack you there. Most of the shots cross current is easier for your opponent anyway. But again, that depends on what you're giving to your opponent on the previous shot. So if you push and the ball is close to this area here, from this, let's say from this point to this one, your opponent kind of has the whole table, even some angle to do over there, right? But if you play more to the corner, even short diagonal even better, because if it's kind of a more, if your push is going through this sideline here, it's even harder for your opponent to try something down the line. The table is too short. It's really hard. So the first option would be even more cross-cut. Then you can anticipate the spot, right? Super hard to counter loop if you push long to the center of the table.
Okay.
Possible if you're fast enough, or your opponent doesn't. Maybe your opponent is out of time, and then you see like your opponent is struggling to get to the ball for some reason. Then it's okay. But in a normal situation, would be much harder because your opponent has a lot of angles to play. But if you play to the corners with some extra side spin on the backspin shot or not, but deep and as corner as you can, of course you can anticipate even more the cross cut. Even that, because if your opponent has to move more towards the corner, and he's worried about hitting the ball because that corner is open now. His left corner will be completely open, completely exposed. So if he goes to the ball and try to play more to the center, let's ignore the possibility of playing down the line because it's too hard. But it's possible, but too hard. He's gonna play more to the center of the table. You don't need to counter loop this because it's gonna be too easy for us to just touch the ball and send the ball to the other corner. So he's gonna be late for the next shot, and then you can maybe finish him on the next shot.
Okay.
So the only option playing hard would be cross cut would be the best option, and you are already there with your hand preparing a block. And if the shot's not good enough, moving forwards or waiting and playing a full swing, right?
Okay.
So let's keep doing this a bit more. I want you to try to force this push as to the corner as you can. Good. Go. Yes. Good. Go. Full swing. Yeah. Go. Nice. Go. Forward. Yeah. Close the angle. Keep your head low. Good. Yeah. If you block one shot, then you can prepare your next loop, but then you have to step backwards. Right? If you just block and stay too close to the table, the next shot of your opponent in general is going to be deeper and at least a bit faster. Maybe not as spinny as the first one, but faster. And if you stay too close to the table of the first block, you won't have time to kind of react fast enough and prepare something more dangerous than a second block. Even for a second block would be harder because you have less time, the ball is faster. So if you block one, immediately step back.
Yeah, I think that's going to help me a lot.
Yeah,
because I do get in like the block loops of like I have to keep blocking, but I think you're right. If I step back after the first one, I have time to do something.
Yeah, and even if your opponent is strong looping, you block the first one close to the table and step back, there's nothing wrong in keep blocking from here. Because the ball is going to be faster. It's even easier for you to block, and the efficiency would be pretty much the same. Okay. But if you're back here, and the loop gives you enough time to prepare something else, you have way more time to prepare some counter loop, right? Okay. So what I want from you now is, let's try like this. I'm gonna do like this, kind of a loop like this. I want you to block very close to the table, cross cut, and then I'm gonna loop your block. I want you to step back and counter loop, right? Yep. So you block the first one, and then I'm trying to loop again, and then you counter loop from behind. Yes, let's go. Oops, sorry. Go, counter loop. Yes, that's it. Close to the table blocking, and now outside. Yes. Yes, that's it. As soon as you touch the ball, step backwards. Oh, sorry. Go. Nice. Beautiful. Nice. You see, it's not a really hard shot technically, but you need to anticipate. You need to create a situation, buy yourself time and space to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the biggest mistake people do. They think they can counter loop whenever they want, from wherever they are, like on the table. No. You have to set up things. And sometimes the best way is a good first block. Well, it starts with a good push. Then your opponent is playing with a lot of spin and less speed, so you have time. And then even if you don't decide to counter loop the first one, because maybe it's a lot of spin, it's too dangerous and too risky, you set up a really good first block, sending your opponent backwards. You also immediately jump backwards. Then if your opponent is still looping, you have time to counter loop if you feel like. Or if your opponent doesn't have any time to play, he's going to give you some easy shot, some flat shot. You're back here. You have time to jump forward again if you need to. So it's all about positioning at the end of the day, right?
Okay.
If you move to the right spot at the right time, you have an easier shot. And that can be predictable. Let's say if your opponent loops and then you block down the line, you're not going to jump backwards over there because the next shot's going to be to the other side. You're going to jump backwards, but towards your left. Maybe not too far, maybe not too close to the table, because you can even block from, let's say, 1 meter from the table, something like that. It's still possible to block. But if your opponent plays slow, not enough, you can even come with some loop, right? Exactly. Like the ball is kind of a flat, something like that. You loop forward. Yes, that's it. Loop forward. Good. So it would be pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
Right. So if you block cross court, you open your arm to the forehand side again, waiting for the cross court loop. But if you block to the middle or block to the other side, you kind of have to cover the other side.
Yep.
Right. And then if your opponent ever plays where you are the way you're expecting, you have extra time. You're already anticipating that, so you can maybe be more aggressive. Maybe.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is about probability always. Right? Your opponent's never gonna play 80% of the shots, like trying to go over there. It's too silly. If he does that, he's gonna lose, because he's gonna miss 8 out of 10, maybe more.
Yep.
So it's probability. He's going to loop where you are, and then you have to decide if you have enough time to counter loop or just blocking again or whatever. But you have to be in the right spot. If you're too close to the table, in general, is not a good idea. I used to say to my students this: there's phase 1 and phase 2 in the rally. Phase 1 is serving, receiving, short game, until you decide to attack, to take the initiative, attacking the first ball. This first attack is still phase 1. That means you're close to the table.
Yep.
Immediately after hitting the first attack, you step back. You are already in phase 2, but your opponent is still in phase 1, because phase 1 will end for him when he blocks the person close to the table. It's just too silly to push long and step back, because the spin is going to drop in front of you. It's a hard shot. You're going to push long, stay close to the table, blocking or counter looping close to the table. Then phase 1 ends. You are both in phase 2 now, away from the table, playing top spin against top spin, loop against loop. Or maybe one is lobbing, one is chopping, one is trying to survive, and the other one is putting pressure. Whatever happens, you are now not that close to the table anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If you start phase 1 looping, I block close to the table, I'm supposed to step back. You are backwards there waiting for my block, so you have some extra time. You keep putting pressure on me, and I'm still kind of in phase 1 position, too close to the table. The game now is, the ball now is much faster. I have less time to react. I'm going to be in trouble and you're going to
Yep.
be comfortable. Right? And the opposite is also true. If I attack the first one, you close to the table, you block close to the table and step back, but I'm still close to the table, I won't have time to keep attacking. The ball's going to come at me too fast. I'm going to kind of give you something easy, but you are already outside the table. You have extra time to wait, what you check what you want to do, choose your angles, choose the side you want to play, and put pressure on me. I had some advantage by taking the initiative, but because I didn't move to phase 2 position, which is away from the table, now you have the opportunity to put pressure on me, right?
Okay, makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Just let me just drink some water, and I want to play a couple matches with you before we finish. Let me get rid of this ball machine. Good. Okay, hit casual there. Let's play 1 or 2 matches to finish. Let's go. Give me help.
Ah.
Good. That was a really good backhand. Yeah, this is the hardest part. When your opponent is attacking, it's hard to predict if it's too short, it's long, it's fast or not, the amount of spin, the kind of spin, maybe it's more side spin or straight. So it's always hard to defend. When you see someone like blocking really well, defending a lot, there's a lot of skill there. There's a lot of like it's not really easy. We think it's harder to attack, but when you attack, you are in charge. You are deciding how the ball is going to be played. When you are defending, you have to wait and adjust. It's really not easy. Let's go. That's a good one. See, you see at the end, both of us away from the table, counter looping, you attack, I block close to the table, step back, you are already backwards, so we both had enough time to play. Yeah, this is the idea.
Okay. Sorry. Ooh, nice.
Oh, sorry. You're lucky. Beautiful. Nice, good backhand.
Yeah, that time I blocked and took a step back.
Yeah, you don't need to step that much, because if you step too much, the ball is going to fall in front of you and you feel like you have to jump forward again. But if you find the right distance, just like you did, it gets more comfortable, right? So you have more time, the ball is still in a good range, so it's easier to play probably. That was a good one. Good.
Ooh,
Oh, lucky. Sorry. Good timing with the forehand. That was good. Perfect. Stay close for the first block. It's harder to do. Like, I prepared the first attack. Okay, your short game was a bit too high. Maybe I had the opportunity to play faster, so it's not as bad stepping backwards. But in general, try to stay closer to the table, at least for the first block, because it's going to be easier. Then when you block the first one, then you're free to step back.
Okay.
Good. Stay close for this one. Yeah, that's better.
Sorry.
Perfect. Oh, that was a good one. Do you have time for one more game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's do it. That was a good one. Ah, you got me. Good one. Really good. That was a really good one. Good positioning.
How that serve you just did?
Yeah.
I get that a lot, and I do this thing. I don't think I'm supposed to necessarily do that.
It was less backspin. It was less backspin and more side spin. The serve. It's okay if you go. If it's okay if you go this way, but you have to go less under the ball and more sideways. So you have to lift your elbow even more. But the best way, if you read, because if you get confused and think there's more backspin, then this is the problem. It's not your technique. You think it's more backspin, so you're going under the ball, and it's not, so the ball goes high. If you see there's less backspin and more side spin, maybe a good solution would be open the angle and just hit with your wrist just enough to go over the net, generating a little bit of a back top spin. That would be safer, probably.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the serve again. A lot of side spin. You see, if you go under the ball goes up. So just maybe go on top of the ball and just use your wrist to brush. Yes, this is classic. You push long. I had trouble like adjusting for the first shot. I managed to loop. I step back. Your block is in a weird position for me. I didn't have time to keep attacking, so I'm gonna give you something easy.
Mhm.
You had the right position there. You were like away from the table a bit, ready to attack. You just missed the angle. You opened too much the angle. You could go like straight forward. That would be better.
Okay.
But the situation was good. You had time to try to attack. If you were too close to the table for that shot, would be very bad for you. But you had enough time. You just missed the angle. But everything was good.
Okay.
That's the perfect way to receive the serve. Side spin, you
Okay.
just go on top of the ball, mid of the ball. Don't force because my spin is bringing the ball to this corner. So don't force too much this corner. Go more towards the center of the table.
Mhm.
And worst case scenario, my spin is too good. The ball lands in this corner, but it still have the table enough to go in. Right?
Okay.
If you go more towards the center. Yeah.
And so that one seemed pretty low, so I wasn't sure I would be able to do it. If it's too low, can I still get it done, or should I then
Yes.
change to
No,
like
no, no,
the?
no. If according to the spin, if it's too low but with more backspin, then you have to go under the ball. But if it's even very low but with side spin, maybe a little bit of a top spin or maybe just pure side spin, it's still okay for you to lift the ball
Okay.
over the net. It's still good. Beautiful spin. Perfect. That's it. That was side. That was backspin. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's serve. Let's serve.
I would go if you see your opponent away from the table, kind of not having enough time to play with a lot of power. Cover as much as possible the table with your forehand.
Okay.
That means I was completely lost here. I was hopeless. You made me move side to side. I end up here. You play a good shot. I was kind of just defending. Uh,
Yeah.
I can defend over your backhand side. Yes, that's possible. Very hard for me to defend to the other corner. And even if I do so, you have enough time. So just move towards your left, creating space in the middle for your forehand. Because the ball is gonna probably land in the middle. I'm kind of a hopeless. I'm not gonna try to do something crazy and force too much. I'm just trying to survive. And the best way
Yeah.
to survive is playing to the middle. So, and if you go to the middle with your backhand, it's going to be very weak.
Mhm.
You have more time and space if you play the shot, position yourself almost like pivoting. You're still playing backhand if it comes to the corner, but the center of the table now is free for you to play forehand. That's going to be much more efficient than covering the whole thing with the backhand. It's going to be
So
weak, too weak.
I have a question. I that makes sense, and I should probably do that more because I am actually subconsciously my go-to in that uh when it comes kind of to my middle, so I wasn't already pivoted for forehands. I do that inside out, I think, backhands and
Right.
try and hit it over here. So my question is that just like a tricky, risky shot, or is there a time it's actually good to do that versus do
Could
this?
be, yeah, this is a good question. Could be very efficient if you do it. But if your opponent is defending or whatever, like trying to survive, and see you stepping to the middle with your backhand, that means your next shot's gonna be less powerful. So the first thing your opponent will do is kind of a stepping forwards towards the table. And of course, if you place really well to the corner, your opponent's far from the ball, It's going to be hard to get to the ball. That's okay. But imagine this, place yourself, try to figure out from your opponent's perspective. I'm trying to survive here, moving side to side. I end up placing something in the middle, easy. I know it's an easy shot for you. I see you pivoting and opening your forehand. For me, I know it's gonna be a fast shot. I know it's gonna be still easy for you, and I know you have the whole table.
Mm-hmm.
And you can play a slow shot, a soft shot, or you can play really fast. You can play angles. You can do whatever you want. So in my head, here's like, oh no, yeah, he has time for the forehand. I'm screwed. But if you step with the backhand, in your opponent's mind is like, oh, wait a minute, I have a chance. I might, if I have time, I run towards the table again because it's going to be weak. And because you're in the middle of the table with the backhand, really hard for you to play something that way, right? Like powerfully, the angle is not as good. It's easy for you to play in the middle, which is going to be easy for me because I'm trying to survive. Everything I want is you to stop making me run side to side. I want something easy in the middle to try to recover. And if you go to the corners there, it's also a very tricky shot, not very easy, and for sure not fast or not very spinny. So I know it's going to be something that is hard for me to get there and touch the ball, but it's much easier for me than you preparing a big forehand over the same easy shot.
Okay.
Right. So every time you play, let's say, a fast, good shot cross cut with your backhand, or your opponent is late and running away from the table, save the middle of the table for your forehand. And don't stay too close to the table. Just one small step back, save it, because it's gonna be much easier, and you can play whatever you feel like.
Makes sense.
Doesn't need to be a super crazy powerful forehand, but you have angles. You have the middle of the table to play hard now. Not only playing slow, but playing hard to the middle is also very efficient most of the time. So you have more options.
Okay.
So, beautiful spin. Okay, that was nice. We can work on this kind of a situation next time to help you just create a space, getting used to create space in the middle for your forehand, because you do have a good forehand, so you have to use it. You're kind of your game is very balanced both sides. You have good backhands, you have good control both sides, but every time you can create space for your forehand, you have more time to play, more time to decide, and you have more body parts, more leverage, more power, right, compared to the backhand
Yeah.
side. In some situations, it's very important to just create space, right? Because it's different. It's completely different when you are this way with an easy shot in the middle, or when you have the easy shot and you're stepping this way. You're very vulnerable here. You don't have that many options to play fast most of the time. Still possible though, but this is awkward. It's not very easy. But the forehand is way simple. You can choose whatever you want to do, side to side, middle, whatever, side spin, top spin, flat shots, whatever. You have time for this.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Makes sense. Yep.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much. Um, hope we can do this more often.
Thank you.
Right?
This was,
And
as usual, so interesting and a lot of fun. Thank you.
no, it was very, very good. And it's very good to see that you're still improving well. You're still playing with a very consistently. And this is very important, right? Like you keep the ball on the table and then improving some shots like we did today, some counter loops sometimes, some counter attacks. That's important. But the base of the game is controlling the center of the table, controlling blocking, attacking first, now stepping backwards and keep attacking. This is the base. If you can use that more often, your opponents will be always under pressure,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
not comfortable to play like that. So you have an advantage.
Yeah, I think
All
today's
right.
going to help a lot with my game. I'm excited.
I think so. I'm gonna post our class, our training session today. I'm gonna post it tomorrow. I'll send you the link and
Okay.
watch sometimes to see like to remember stuff and see your positionings and everything, because you did really good today. You're gonna see like a lot of improvement from today's practice.
Okay,
All
cool.
right.
Sounds good.
Thanks, my friend. See you very soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.